Spoiler alert. Please be advised that the following will contain spoilers for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Hey, what's up everybody? It's me, E-Man from E-Man's Movie Reviews. Don't mind me, I was just getting my little Zemo on because you know the man, one of the best villains in the MCU is back with Baron Zemo. Ooh, you guys already know we got to talk about that and so much more. We got more returning characters in the Falcon and Winter Soldier, and we got some other surprising twists and stuff. So, hey, look, let's break this down. We start off with the GRC working with John Walker and Lamar doing a no-knock raid on a location where the Flag Smashers were last suspected to be. The business owner claims he doesn't know anything and spits in the face of Captain Corny. Walker asks the man if he knows who he is, and the heroic business owner says he does and doesn't care. People, can we give this man a round of applause? Please? Look, not all heroes wear capes, but this man right here is clearly a hero. This has got to be one of the most satisfying moments in all the MCU shows for now. Oh my God. Look, this man is my personal hero, okay? Like, I am him and he is me. I mean, I wanted to punch this Captain America for a long time, but he got the slobber with the right in the eye, and they just let it hang in there too. I love it. Sam and Bucky are in a German prison to meet Zemo. Bucky goes in to talk to him first. Zemo tries to use the secret words to trigger Bucky, but the brainwashing effect doesn't work. Bucky asks him to help them out and figure out who's making these super soldiers, and Zemo agrees to go along with it as long as they get him out of jail. He finds a prison access card in one of his books, and a prison fight escalates. He uses the opportunity to pose as a prison guard and meets Sam and Bucky. You know what? I actually thought that this was a pretty good plan because Zemo really does not like super soldiers at all. And like Bucky said, it goes against his code. The last thing Zemo wants to see is a world running around with even more superpowered individuals. So I like the consistency here. Now, I'm not entirely sure how Zemo got the access card in his book, but I'm assuming that Bucky probably found a way to get it to him. Now, there's something else to notice here. In the last episode, like right at the end when Zemo was being presented, we saw a quick glimpse of him actually playing chess. And I was talking about how I think that this is really a sign or maybe symbolic of his, intelligence. While everybody else is playing checkers, this man is playing chess. And now in this episode, we see that he is also reading a book by Machiavelli, which I think is yet even more foreshadowing for his character. Now, don't quote me on this, but my loose understanding about Machiavelli revolves around various concepts of power and ethics. So one theory is that it's impossible for a politician to be a good man, and for Machiavelli, I believe the good revolved around the Christian understanding of the word. And this seems to be like a reoccurring dynamic within Marvel. So we've kind of seen this with T'Challa and even with Thor, where the concept of do I want to be a good man or do I want to be a good king? And you always can't be the same thing at the same time. So if you try to be a good person, then maybe you make certain decisions that are morally and ethically right, but you might jeopardize your kingdom or your position. But then again, if you're like a ruler or a king or queen or whatever, you might have to make certain decisions that aren't ethical and they're not morally good. And, you compromise your ethics, but you're a good ruler. So that's kind of like the theme that Machiavelli is drawing upon. And I think the other side of this for Zemo is the fact that he is drawing upon the idea of power. Because with Machiavelli, one other thing he was talking about was he's more about the effectiveness. It's all about the end result. Doesn't matter if you're a good person. What matters is, are you getting it done? And I think this is going to inform us on how Zemo views things and how he approaches things. For him, he might just have to play the role, be the nice guy, smile, do some good things, just to get his end result. So all I'm saying is, don't be surprised if we start seeing Baron Zemo helping out Sam and Bucky, saving their lives, doing certain things, only to flip later on and really seize power or do whatever his ultimate plan really is. Once again, he's playing chess, not checkers. In Zemo's garage, he says that they must meet a woman named Selby. We learn that Zemo is actually royalty and a baron. Russian Alfred greets Zemo and the others as they board the private plane. Zemo starts to read off of Bucky's list of all the people that he has to make amends with, and Bucky quickly snatches that away from him. Zemo informs him that they have to go to Madrapor and tells Bucky that he's going to have to play the role of the Winter Soldier once again. Now, I really love this scene, but first of all, can we all agree that, everybody loves Marvin Gaye? Okay, good. I think that's resolved. It's settled. We're done. Now, the important thing that stuck out here in this conversation was Zemo dropping some straight facts. He talked about the problem with Captain America, and not specifically Steve Rogers, but the symbolism that comes along with the mantle. He talked about how they become icons after we put these figures on pedestals, and you can already see Sam proving his point as he was cautioning Zemo to watch it while he was talking. I mean, it was almost like that moment where, let's say you're talking about a religious figure and somebody else within that religion is kind of like, hey, watch it, don't blaspheme that name. But the other important thing that Zemo talks about was the fact that we forget about the flaws in these figures as well. And he drew a very interesting comparison to Captain America to the Red Skull. Now, I thought he was going to talk about the Nazis and Hitler, but for the sake of the MCU, Red Skull is a better direct analogy or comparison to the mantle of Captain America. But what we really need to pay attention to is Zemo's focus on the danger of idolizing these mantles. Whether it's Captain America or Red Skull, he's alluding to the idea that people will eventually get sucked into the ideology of nationalism. The danger here is that the individual or the person no longer matters because everything you do and everything we work for is for the betterment of the state or the country. By itself, there's really nothing wrong with having pride in your own country, being proud of where you come from. But when it comes to Red Skull and the Nazis and stuff, they took nationalism to a different extreme. And I'm talking about the extreme where they were so proud, that they were so elevating their own country that it was to the detriment of other countries. And what Zemo is saying is that, there's really not that big of a difference than what America might do with Captain America and that mantle. I mean, yeah, you could put your country first, but what's the logical progression of that ideology? Not caring for your allies, not caring for your neighbors, not giving aid to other countries, maybe even starting wars with other countries, maybe viewing other countries as boo-boo in comparison? As with any ideology, it's the extremes of nationalism that Zemo is kind of pointing caution to. The three men head to Madrapor, and Sam's trying to impersonate a man that goes by the title of Smiling Tiger. So they dressed him up like a pimp named Slickback. While at the bar, Zemo is approached by some goons, but gives Bucky the command to handle his light work. The Winter Soldier takes them down without very much effort. Soon after, Selby gives the call to see Zemo. During their meeting, she tells Zemo that Dr. Nagel is working for the power broker to reproduce the super soldier serum. Just then, Sam's phone goes off, and Selby demands that he answers the call on speakerphone. Sarah unknowingly calls Sam out by his name, and all hell breaks loose. After taking everyone out, a bounty has been placed on their heads. Everyone in the city starts taking shots at the three men until Sharon Carter swoops out of the shadows to help them. They head back to Sharon's hideout, which just so happens to be full of expensive artwork and other valuables. Ooh, did y'all see my man Bucky was back? Ooh, we almost had Savage Bucky. Ooh, it was so close. Even Sam was kind of worried, you good, bro? Because Bucky was making that look a little too easy. They told the man just to be in character, and he stayed in character. That looked like some method acting, but I don't care. Look, I just need somebody to give this man a knife, let him just go to work and start. Y'all already know I need that. Yeah, I ain't got the butter knife, I got the nail filer, but that's okay, because you know what I'm talking about. We just need Savage Bucky back to start stabbing people. I can't wait. As for the Smiling Tiger with Sam, that's just a fun reference to a very minor comic book character. I think his name was Conrad Mack or something like that. I don't think he had a lot of importance for now, but the real Smiling Tiger could serve as a bigger hint for the group that Baron Zemo puts together called the Thunderbolts. Now, Comic fans, you guys already know what I'm talking about with the Thunderbolts. For you non-comic readers, it's okay. I think that's going to be something that's going to happen in Marvel down the road. So don't feel like you really have to know anything about that for now. Now, also for you comic fans, you guys already know the Island of Madrapor, like that was a very key location in the X-Men comics and everything. Now, I am not saying that mutants are running around on this little fugitive island, but I do believe that the fact that they even included this area is just kind of laying the groundwork, you know, just kind of setting up the world, the settings and all that, so that when mutants do come around, it'll have a better tie-in, and, you know, we could just kind of have like the mutant environment back. So no mutants yet, but I think this is a pretty cool Easter egg. Now, as for Sharon Carter, we see that she's back, and if you recall from Civil War, she too was a fugitive for helping Captain America. So she ended up on this island with all the other fugitives too. Now, I'll put it out there. I do think that maybe Sharon could be the actual power broker. Zemo did refer to the power broker as a he or a him, but that might actually be misdirection. You know, maybe no one's actually seen the power broker, and they're just assuming that it's a male. Plus, even though in the comics the power broker was a man, Marvel already has shown that they don't have a problem doing some gender bending. I mean, Carly's character was actually a man. He went by the name Carl in the comics, but they did some gender bending with her, so I wouldn't be surprised if they, you know, just did it as kind of like a big reveal or whatever, that, ooh, Sharon is actually the power broker. Wouldn't be a big surprise. Now, the show is not confirming this as of yet, and I am not putting any stock or betting any money that she actually is the power broker. All I am saying is there are some signs that kind of sort of point to the fact that she could actually be the power broker. She's already demonstrated a shift in her attitude towards heroes. When talking to Sam, she seemed kind of cynical when she said that being a hero is all a joke. There was also another scene earlier that said that the power broker is watching. And at the bar, real quick, you could see a hooded figure sitting there watching Sam and Zemo. And that was probably Sharon. She clearly was watching them to be able to sniper and take out those people that were chasing them too. And let's not forget the fact that she's living in this huge house with armed security, and she's selling stolen art. You know, brokering deals powerfully. Now, if Sharon is not the power broker, hey, that's fine. You know, maybe this is like one of those Ralph Boner type of situations like in WandaVision. Then again, maybe this is like one of those obvious reveals, just like how Agnes really was Agatha all along. However, as some of you have pointed out during our live reaction video, it's possible that maybe Sharon is just working for the power broker too. I don't know. All of these things could be possible, so you let me know what you think in the comments. Sharon finds the location of Dr. Nagel, and they head to a lot with shipping containers. They go inside and find a hidden lab where Dr. Nagel is working. While the men continue to talk to Nagel, Sharon starts to take out the bounty hunters outside. Nagel says that he was recruited by Hydra and then by the CIA to replicate the super soldier serum. He used the blood of an American test subject and was able to find the right compound to make the serum. However, he got dusted during Thanos' snap, and when he returned 5 years later, the power broker funded his research to replicate his work. He was only able to make 20 vials of the serum. That is, until Carly stole them. As Sharon rushes in, Zemo shoots and kills Nagel. The lab explodes, and the team gets into a gunfight with the other bounty hunters. Zemo comes to their rescue, and they all make their getaway. I'm sorry, I can't get over the Zemo pump. You know that man was getting ready to roll that dice. Just I'm just saying, I need to see Zemo in the club just one more time. Just one more time. Okay, so anyway, with Dr. Nagel, obviously he was sitting here talking about Isaiah Bradley, right? Like, that was the American test subject that he got the sample from. Now, the thing is with Dr. Nagel, he actually is kind of like of a comic reference in a sense, because in the comics, Dr. Nagel was the one that actually did the experiments on Isaiah Bradley during World War II. So they're kind of, you know, playing around with that in the MCU by bringing him into more modern terms. And the other thing to take away from all this is the fact that, like, everybody is still obsessed with the super soldier serum. You know, again, we went from Hydra to the CIA to now the power broker, and this is clearly a hot commodity. Now, besides all that, Nagel made a quick reference about overpopulated camps and people dying of disease. I think that yet again, this is another grim look of the after effects of the blip. People who would have to go relocate into various camps probably have very few resources at their disposal. So this could very well explain what Karli is fighting against. Now I gotta say, I'm a little relieved that they killed off Dr. Nagel and that he only managed to make 20 vials of the serum. The main thing is that if you have too many super soldiers running around them, well, Captain America is no longer special, right? I mean, they couldn't keep the original scientist alive, the one who created the original super soldier serum, and they couldn't keep the new guy alive either. So if I had to make a guess here, it's probably logical that Karli and all her other little super soldiers are probably gonna die. However, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody else managed to get this serum. Maybe it's Zemo, maybe it's Sharon Carter, or maybe it's not my Captain America. Who do you think would end up taking the serum? Now, during this scene, I see that Sharon's been keeping up her skills from S.H.I.E.L.D. She was out here just throwing down. Looks like Marvel might be setting her up for something a little bit more. Kind of almost reminded me of Black Widow for a moment there. And I gotta say, I just really like the action in this episode. They sprinkled it in very nicely. And this scene was definitely cool. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Bucky, bro, getting savage out here. He threw a whole pole in somebody's shoulder. Jeez, Bucky. Now, the question was raised, during our live video reaction. Why would Sharon bring Bucky, Sam, and Zemo to Dr. Nagel if she happens to be the power broker? And my simple response to that would be, it could be the case of just keeping your friends close and your enemies closer. If she is the power broker, and if Dr. Nagel is so important to her, you would want to monitor the situation, right? Like Bucky and Sam, keep in mind, they already knew about Dr. Nagel, so they probably were going to find a way to locate him one way or another. So I'm thinking that if she is the power broker, or maybe if she's working for him, then maybe that was the reason why she allowed them to go and find him. But again, we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. We head over to Latvia as Karli is comforting a woman who is on her deathbed. She cries for the woman, and then she travels to Lithuania as she stands outside the GRC. Her and her companions steal about 6 months' worth of supplies. As they escape, Karli sets one of her vehicles to explode near the building, which happens to still have a lot of people still inside. So Karli's already made her intentions pretty clear here. She wants to give some of the super soldiers serum to a lot of the kids or other people in the camps that were affected by the blip. So all these refugees, maybe the serum would help them with their health, or maybe it'll give them an advantage, to kind of like restake their claim in the world. But one thing I do know is that Karli has clearly made a heel turn here. I mean, during this attack on the GRC, this clearly was a little bit out of character for her. Before, she was kind of like the Robin Hood, giving to the poor and helping out others. But now she's becoming a full-on terrorist, and you could tell by the look on the face of her friend after he saw her actions. I mean, his look alone tells us that this is not normal for Karli. Now, my guess here is that this may be a result of the serum. As I mentioned in previous breakdown videos, Captain America's serum, like the super soldier serum he got, is like the perfect mix, the perfect balance. And as you can tell, he's good with the mind and body. However, everybody else that got a serum or a derivative of the serum, they all kind of suffered in some way, shape, or form, at least from the comics, some sort of mental effect. So maybe it'll make them go crazy, or maybe it'll make them mentally impaired. One way or another, it would have a negative effect on them. And my guess is that maybe this could be happening to Karli right now. Maybe whatever super soldier serum that she took has an unknown long-term effect, which, could mess her brain up. And maybe that's why she's starting to become a little bit more evil. We jump back to Captain Whack and Whacker visiting the German prison where Zemo escaped. They put 2 and 2 together and assume that Bucky and Sam helped Zemo escape. Walker is committed to doing things off the books to get this mission accomplished. Well, it seems like Dollar Store Cap is finally showing some of his true colors. Now, I'm not saying that he's going full bad guy here, but he is kind of showing that he doesn't mind going off the reservation a little bit when it comes to following the rules. Now, that's not a full indictment against him because, hey, Steve Rogers kind of did the same thing and became a whole fugitive. But the real thing we have to pay attention to here is how far is Walker going to go to get the job done. On Zemo's plane, Sam reflects on the recent events. He wonders how many people have been steamrolled to make the serum. Bucky counters that by saying that the serum saved a lot of lives. While Sam understands that, he also thinks that he may have made a mistake of giving up the shield, and instead he should have just destroyed it. Bucky's immediately triggered and talks about how the shield represents a lot of things to many different people, including himself. Zemo serves Bucky and Sam some expired food as they fly over to Latvia to continue their investigation. As they're walking, Bucky notices a Kimoyo bead on the ground. He finds some more and soon runs into the Dora Milaje warrior Ayo, who claims that she is here for Zemo. Hey man, did y'all notice when Sam mentioned Isaiah? Man, look, all I'm saying is Zemo better not go after Isaiah, because Zemo does not like super soldiers. He killed a bunch of them in Civil War, and the moment Sam started talking about him, Zemo was kind of like, like there's another one, So like look, man, don't do it. That's all. Y'all better leave Isaiah alone. He better get back to fist pumping in the club or something. Now, as for Sam and Bucky's conversation on the plane, let's kind of be clear about this first and foremost. Sam is not putting in race into this equation at all. Now, we, the audience, me, the commentator, we can put that in there because we kind of have an understanding of like where they're drawing the source material and these themes from. But the characters so far have not touched on that, which I have to say is a little disappointing, only because the writer of the show said that the topic of race was going to be predominantly featured in the show. Well, we're halfway through and it seems like the show is still skirting around the issue. Now, that is not to say that this has to be a full-on lecture or TED Talk about race. That we don't need that. All I'm saying is that if the show is supposed to feature something predominantly and the lead character has yet to even acknowledge it, then it's a little bit misleading. I mean, seriously, at this point, Zemo's a little bit more woke than Sam. Anyway, going back to the conversation between Sam and Bucky, it's eerily reminiscent of like the whole subject with Colin Kaepernick. But instead of them talking about the flag, they're talking about the shield, and they're also talking about two different perspectives of it. Now, Sam is thinking about Isaiah Bradley being experimented on, and many others who remain nameless, hidden, and forgotten just to make the super soldier serum. Bucky, on the other hand, is thinking about all the lives that have been saved because of the serum, to which Sam does acknowledge. What I found interesting here is the difference in their answers and their viewpoints. Sam not only brings up the problematic history of the serum and the shield, but he also acknowledges the fact that it saved many people's lives. Bucky, on the other hand, only acknowledged the latter. This kind of felt like a little bit of cognitive dissonance on Bucky's part. Almost like Bucky didn't even care that there were others that might have suffered as a result of the experiments, or worse. He only cared about the end results, and we've seen this from Bucky already, where he justified the act of breaking Zemo out of prison. So my issue with Bucky's perspective here is how dismissive it is of the total history and its context when it comes to the serum and the shield, which unfortunately is something that happens all the time in American history. We love to have selective memory about historical figures and events, while at the same time we completely ignore the atrocious and egregious things that also happen. Which, by the way, is exactly what Baron Zemo was talking about earlier in the episode when he was talking about putting people up on pedestals and forgetting their flaws. Yo, why is Baron Zemo the most woke person on this show? Now, when it comes to Ayo, man, I really want to call her Ayo, because her name is spelled A-Y-O, so I want to be like, Ayo, but it's really Ayo, so we're going to respect the Wakanda name. But when it comes to her presence right now just is a subtle reminder that Wakanda never forgets. Sam mentioned it earlier when he said that Wakanda didn't forget that Zemo killed King T'Chaka back in Civil War. So now I imagine that Wakanda is out for justice. Maybe they want to return Zemo back to jail in Germany, or maybe they want to imprison him themselves, since it seems like the German prison couldn't hold him. Either way, this immediately makes me question, where is King T'Challa in all of this? Did he give the command to do this? I want to know where he is, what he's thinking, and what the state of affairs is in Wakanda. And yo, as I mentioned during the live video reaction, this is definitely getting me more motivated to put some more pressure on Marvel to recast T'Challa. There's just way too much story left to be told through his character, especially after they left us hanging with the game changer type of announcement that T'Challa was going to open up Wakanda to the entire world. And in case you missed it, I did drop another big announcement during that live video, so you can check that out or just stay tuned to this channel for more. So what did you think about this episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier? I mean, right now we're at the midway point, and I've got to say, I'm definitely entertained, especially with all the action that's been really solid. But I do think that we're at the point where they have to start raising the stakes now. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Sam still hasn't even talked about race at all, and again, I wouldn't even have that expectation for him to do that if the writer of the show hadn't actually said this is what's going to happen. But even if they don't do that, I still need a little bit more development about Sam and his character. I mean, my goodness, he's the lead character. He's the #1 build. He's got the first name, the Falcon, in the title. And I'm sitting here thinking like, yo, we know more about Bucky than we do about Sam. This is starting to feel more like the Winter Soldier sequel than it is a story about Sam. So I'm like, hey man, y'all gonna have to turn this up, because right now Bucky is revealing more stuff about himself. We're learning more things about his past and stuff like that. And Sam still seems very guarded. So I'm just hoping that the next episode gives us a little bit more for us to like really just follow Sam and his character and just learn more about him. Really hoping that he goes back and talks with Isaiah Bradley. I'd like to see how that affects his character. And speaking of Isaiah Bradley, y'all already know I need Isaiah and Winter Soldier flashback, because that just needs to happen. Y'all cannot tease that and not show it. Anyway, what do you want to see in the next episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier, and how are you feeling about the episode so far? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, thank you all so much for taking the time to watch my video. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget that every Friday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, we will be doing a live reaction chat where we all come together, we talk about the episode, we ask questions, we go over theories, we do all of that good stuff and have a good time. And we probably gonna roast that fake Captain America as well. So just come on in and join the fun. If you're new here and you like what you see, feel free to go check out some of my other videos. And hey, if you like it, don't forget to subscribe. Anyway, I hope to see more of you during the live video. In the meantime, I've got more videos and reviews to do for you all. And until next time, I'll see you all later.